Coming up, tackling a growing concern right in our backyards, the Cuban tree frog. We're sharing strategies being deployed to curb its invasive impact and protect our unique biodiversity. Following that, we shift our focus to an equally critical matter, strengthening our disaster communication, keeping first responders connected when emergencies strike. You're inside Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome.
BGLC, the regulatory body. We regulate, you play without worry. We regulate, you play. BGLC, fair play when you play. For the fun of the game, you know when they are. BGLC, keep it fair for the player. You play the game and we are the rules setter. Keep everything fair so the game play better. The Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. We ensure fairness, integrity and responsible gaming practices. Keep the game fair and fun for everyone. We regulate, you play.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Thursday, May 29, 2025. Government is monitoring the deportation of Jamaican nationals with a firm, coordinated response. That assurance comes from both the Ministers of National Security and Foreign Affairs, as a flight of 107 deported nationals were set to arrive today from the United States. These are included among approximately 2,500 nationals confirmed for removal from the United States, in line with due process and logistical arrangements over the next 2 years. 331 nationals were removed between January and April this year. In a statement released yesterday, the Security and Foreign Affairs ministers stressed that the government had been closely monitoring developments in deportation trends and systems were activated to manage any potential increase in returns. Minister Horace Chang says the government continues to monitor the matter carefully and remains in direct communication with its counterparts in the United States and other jurisdictions. Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith adds that the government has long taken proactive steps to address the issue and says existing systems are aligned to safeguard both public safety and the rights of returning Jamaicans. Bearing in mind that some deportees have only committed immigration breaches, while others may have serious criminal backgrounds, she stresses that the National Security Council is actively assessing risks and strengthening strategies to protect public safety. Cabinet recently approved a coordinated deportation response action plan and established a multi-agency working group to ensure an orderly, secure, and humane process for any mass returns. The country is prepared for the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, which begins on June 1, with all shelters in a state of readiness. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie gave that assurance on Wednesday during his sectoral debate presentation in Parliament. He says the shelters have been visited and assessed by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, along with the Ministries of Labour and Health.
On all shelters in Jamaica, based on the reports, are in a state of readiness in case there is a need to use our shelters. We have provided the resources, Madam Speaker, to ensure that the country can respond, Madam Speaker.
ODPEM will be using its existing emergency radio system and Starlink, which is a satellite-based internet, to enhance its communication. And municipal corporations have been advised that their parochial revenue fund (PRF) allocations in May and June should be used for drain cleaning mitigation across the country. Minister McKenzie adds that several recommendations coming out of an evaluation undertaken by the Disaster Risk Management Review Committee on the state of Jamaica's disaster infrastructure are now being implemented.
So, Madam Speaker, I urge the country to listen to the various bulletins, members of Parliament, councillors, to engage your constituents, especially those who are in areas that are prone to flooding.
The government is investing $500 million to build 45 new concrete indigent houses this year, the highest number ever in a single year. While speaking in Parliament on Wednesday, Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond McKenzie revealed that the houses would be built in St. Thomas, St. James, Clarendon, Portland and St. Anne.
The government made a commitment to improve our people's lives, whether their social standings. We have been keeping the promise by doing many things, including building strong, modern, pretty, indigent housing, well furnished, Madam Speaker.
He also announced that 22,800 new streetlights will be installed across the island over the next 2 years.
This means that there are 228 municipal divisions in Jamaica. Each of them will get 50 streetlights installed each year. And members of Parliament and the average Jamaicans can make application for light, Madam Speaker.
Stricter penalties are coming under the Telecommunications Act for individuals found guilty of trespassing, meddling, interfering with, or tampering with any telecommunications facility. This, according to Portfolio Minister Darrell Vaz, who was making his sectoral debate presentation recently. He points out that for years, telecommunications service providers have raised concerns about the significant financial burden caused by theft and vandalism of their infrastructure.
Earlier this year, operators were faced with a bill of more than $200,000 through one act of vandalism, while the current penalties in law for these nefarious actions are a mere fraction of the cost. We are waging the war on serious crimes and wanton criminality, and we are winning, and we intend to do the same here with theft and vandalism of equipment.
To address this, the Law Reform Amendment of Penalties Act was tabled in the House of Representatives on May 20 by Minister of Finance and the Public Service Favour Williams. Meanwhile, Minister Vaz says that ahead of this hurricane season and beyond, a more agile and robust response is expected from players in the telecommunications sector.
Our major telecommunication providers have promised to up their game by moving more equipment on island once an announcement of an impending hurricane is made, to invest in additional generators and solar technology to decrease dependency on a single source of energy and a greater uptime for all cell sites.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining is looking to introduce a pension scheme for farmers to improve their financial security after retirement. Minister Floyd Green made the announcement during his sectoral debate presentation in the Parliament on Tuesday.
A lot of farmers work hard. Yes, sir. And then when they decide to stop their farming, they don't have anything to fall back on. Unfortunately, some farmers keep going, even though they are not so strong, because they're afraid if they stop, they don't have anything to fall back on.
He says the ministry will be advocating for $1 billion in startup funding to launch the pension program. In addition to the pension initiative, the minister also announced support for 5,000 farmers to enroll in the parametric weather insurance scheme offered by Grace Kennedy Insurance. The program provides weather-related protection for farmers, particularly those in high-risk, disaster-prone areas.
I'm pleased to announce that this year we will be providing support for 5,000 farmers to sign up for the GKI Weather Protect Insurance Scheme. We're going to target the disaster-prone areas.
And finally, agri-parks across the island are set to benefit from free internet access as the Universal Service Fund, USF, expands its reach beyond traditional community access points to support national development goals. Speaking at a JIS think tank, CEO of the USF, Charlton McFarlane, revealed that plans were underway to partner with the authorities managing Jamaica's 10 agro-parks to bring connectivity to these critical agricultural zones.
They have expressed to us a need for internet connection. One agro-park is about 500 acres. No community access point, no community Wi-Fi, no single community Wi-Fi covers 500 acres. So this is a major undertaking of the USF.
The CEO makes the point that providing reliable internet would significantly improve the efficiency of farmers.
Our farmers will now be in a position to better monitor their farms, to better track their livestock. We know we have challenges with predator larceny and stuff like that. So all of this that we are doing with providing this connectivity is geared at improving and making more efficient how our farmers are able to manage within these agri-park zones.
This initiative is part of a broader strategy by the USF to re-energize community access points across the island. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
In the face of natural disasters, timely and accurate communication can be the difference between chaos and coordinated response, between lives lost and lives saved. Recognizing this, the government has built out a critical radio communication system that is revolutionizing our ability to prepare, respond, and recover, ensuring that even in the most challenging moments, help is always just a frequency away.
Jamaica is no stranger to the powerful forces of nature. From hurricanes and floods to landslides, these natural disasters remind us of the importance of readiness.
So we have mainstreamed in our governance disaster preparedness and readiness as a means of building resilience against the climate change issues that affect small island developing states like Jamaica.
In terms of the National Disaster Risk Management Framework, it's actually one of the best, if not the best in the Americas.
We are in the best place we have ever been in our history in terms of our state of readiness.
When disaster strikes, all eyes turn to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. In a crisis, effective and reliable communication is of utmost importance. That's why the government, through ODPEM, has forged a partnership with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, to strengthen the island's emergency communication system. The ODPEM-JICA collaboration aims to improve the emergency communication infrastructure in Jamaica by installing wireless communication systems and relevant equipment, thereby contributing to swift and robust communication between first responders and government offices to respond efficiently to emergencies or disaster.
Telecom management is Spanish Town Fire Station. This is the radio check. How do you read? Over.
We are putting in place the necessary infrastructure for us to respond to these disasters. We would have already put in place all the necessary radios in their various locations. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, the police, every arm of government is equipped to communicate before and after. And this is a game changer for the people of Jamaica.
You don't want a system where you are relying on cell phones for communication. We saw what happened in Beryl, where a lot of the cell towers went, and there was communication blackout in some areas across the country. What you want to ensure is that there are redundancy to your communication, and our radar network gives us that kind of redundancy. In terms of the design, it is robust enough that allows us that if one of the nodes go down, we're still able to communicate across the country, and it gives us roughly probably 98% coverage across the island.
Changing from an analog to a digital system is not an easy feat. However, with the development of the Project Implementing Unit, the ODPEM is sure the DCOMs and Early Warning System EWANs will be effective in strengthening Jamaica's responsiveness. Coupled with the island's Early Warning System EWANs, the DCOMs are expected to effectively bolster Jamaica's responsiveness to natural disasters.
The objective of the project for the improvement of emergency communication system in Jamaica is to enhance Jamaica's public safety and our national emergency communication system. This national emergency communication system is critical for the coordination of emergency and incident response among our various government entities or key government responders. It will allow for emergency agencies to communicate via one common platform. We would have installed radio equipment to include mobile radios, base station radios, and handheld radios at a number of government entities to include the Jamaica Fire Brigade, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Ministry of Health, the local authorities, and a number of other entities island-wide. We would have installed early warning systems under the project across 2 parishes in 3 communities, namely Old Harbour Bay in St. Catherine and along the Bogwalk to Angels Corridor in St. Catherine, and also in Port Maria, St. Mary. This, with the installation of this early warning system, it will create that alertness that it is a multi-hazard system. So it will be able to alert residents, commuters, persons who utilize these areas, these urban centers, for example, Port Maria, about the pending hazards or threats that these communities will face.
This site is owned by Aerotel. They manage the telecommunication systems for Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. Part of the benefit of co-locating at this site is that this site is designed for aeronautical purposes. So they have a very high standard, especially where power is concerned, and also for protection against lightning. And also provides quite a bit of redundancy just by virtue of its location. However, our system is designed to run entirely on a battery system, and pretty much we have our systems charged by their power. Should a case happen where we lose power, whether from GPS or their power system, our battery system will allow us to have service for up to 5 days. This site here in Coopers Hill provides coverage for the entire corporate area. So all of the radios in this area will be connected to this repeater site here at Coopers Hill, and that's another advantage that we have at this location.
The DCOM system will also help several stakeholders within the National Disaster Risk Management structure to mobilize and mitigate crises.
During the implementation phase of the project of the DCOM system, firefighters were basically embedded with a team of engineers that came down from Japan to install the equipment across the island. DCOM system that is now at ODPEM is manned by firefighters. So that's the rock and the knock, as is referred to. It's currently manned by firefighters, and these firefighters will remain at ODPEM, manning the system for as long as it's necessary. What we have done with this system is to make it a part of our daily communications. Once we're out in the field conducting, whether it's rescue or conducting firefighting operations, then the team members can communicate back to Central in terms of giving updates, live updates as to what is happening. If there is need for additional resources, that can be communicated in a reliable way, unlike what we have now.
we're able to introduce it as part of the communication platform during burial, and we were able to see some results. So it's a good thing.
The DECOM system is here to build resilience, plan for natural disasters, activate response efforts, and mitigate the impacts of disasters while maintaining an active and reliable communication channel.
Your devices are important, and so is charging them safely.
Never charge your phones or your laptop in bed, or leave them charging on your sofa or on any material that is flammable. That is a risk that is too great for you to take on.
Instead, charge your devices on a hard surface and always unplug them once fully charged.
Don't make its small size fool you. It's a silent invader with a big appetite, the Cuban tree frog. Its presence in Jamaica could spell danger for our native wildlife, and so we are exploring the potential consequences and what can be done to protect our environment.
This is the Cuban tree frog. The first reported sighting was in 2017 at a fish farm in Clarendon. But it's believed that the amphibian was introduced to the island sometime before that. Today, there have been sightings of this invasive species in several parishes, causing wonderment and weariness in its wake. Scientifically known as Osteopilus septentrionalis, the Cuban tree frog is native to Cuba, the Bahamas, and the Cayman Islands. It is theorized that its presence on the island may have been due to stowaway.
We suspect they came in on shipments, so maybe shipments of agricultural products or even industrial products such as pipes, so on and so forth.
One of the best ways by the Cuban tree frog, as opposed to other species of frogs in Jamaica, is by these bright colors right under the legs. So the back leg, this bright greenish yellowish color, you can see it on both sides. So this is a great indicator of a Cuban tree frog.
And another way you may distinguish between them and our local frogs is by their call.
The Cuban tree frog is a tree, in true sense, a tree frog. And some of the main characteristics you can use to distinguish it from other frogs that we have in Jamaica is that it has these large toe pads, these circular toe pads that it uses to adhere to surfaces.
They particularly like to hide in foliage, leaves, like between banana leaves, mango leaves, as well as your potted plants in and around your household, especially if you have a garden. So we encourage persons that if you have house gardens, your backyard gardens, check the leaves of your plants to see if there are any Cuban tree frogs hiding out in there.
It is important to note that frogs are not pets and should not be made so. While not overly dangerous to humans, there are concerns about human contact and the dangers the frogs may present. It should be known that their skin secretes a type of mucus that may cause an allergic reaction. However, the presence of the Cuban tree frogs mostly affects the Jamaican environment.
The Cuban tree frog has a very voracious appetite, which means that they basically eat anything that fits in their mouth.
Whether it is insects, other frogs, small reptiles such as our small snakes, small lizards, and if they can fit a small bird in their mouth, like the bigger ones, they will do it as well.
And that can have a detrimental impact on the country's ecosystems, because you lose these animals, these endemic, these native animals that play such a vital role in our habitat, and they're replaced with another animal that takes over their habitat, and then the functions that we lose from the ones that are eaten or decimated will no longer exist. So environmentally, that's a big issue.
And the Cuban tree frog population is growing because
none of our local species identify them as food. And because they're introduced now, they're trying to find their spot in our food web or ecosystem. So they are testing the limits to see where they lie. However, our local species also do not identify them as prey. So no one identifies them as predator, no one identifies them as prey. So that essentially gives them like this open room to eat as much as they want, reproduce as much as they want without any threat to their increase in population.
With this free roam, the Cuban tree frogs have been spotted in Clarendon, St. Catherine, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Kingston and St. Andrew, Westmoreland and St. James, causing upset due to their audacious personality, which will have them in homes or camping out on walls near light bulbs waiting for their next meal. The Salientians' presence has been causing much distress to players in the apiary sector.
We've been getting reports of them eating bees, and that's the main thing in terms of agriculture, because they will literally camp out on the bee box and pick them off as they come. In some instances, they seek shelter in the bee box, so they'll actually be in the bee box, and that presence also disturbs the bees. So they may not form cones in that area. And if they do happen to eat a queen, then you have a collapse of the colony. So that's the honey industry.
That's why the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA is encouraging Jamaicans to help in its bid to eradicate the Cuban tree frog. But the agency wants the removal to be done in a safe and humane way.
Safe meaning we don't want you to use harmful chemicals or hot water or bleach or any of that, because not only, yes, it might be effective in killing the frogs, but it might also harm you. If you're going to kill them, use a sharp object or a blunt object to hit them or stab them in the back of the head. So that will be a quick, clean death.
There's also another method.
We've been exploring the use of traps, and they're simple traps, which is just a PVC pipe installed in a general area, standing, installed, or sometimes laying down with one end closed, in a general area where you'd have seen them before, because they will go and congregate in there. And then once you keep checking to see if they're in there, and once you see them, then no, you eliminate those and then reset.
NEPA, however, is urging caution, as there are over 21 species of frogs which are endemic to Jamaica and are essential to the island's ecosystem.
We actually want persons to find appreciation in our native species. It's unfortunate that this one may pose a threat to those species, and that's why we ask you to share your photos of various frogs that you see, so we can help determine what species it is and take the appropriate action.
So we caution residents that yes, while we want to remove this specific species of invasive frogs from our environment, we do have local frog species which should be protected, because they play a significant and important role in maintaining our ecosystems. So one of the primary things is that they might help control other populations that are problematic. So it's not a case where you must kill every single frog that you see. However, we are specific to the Cuban tree frogs because they're not from this area, and we want to remove them from this area.
While NEPA leads the charge with ridding the island of the Cuban tree frog, regular Jamaicans are being urged to join the fight. How? Report sightings of the frog to NEPA, or citizens in affected communities may organize projects to eradicate them. Citizens may also manage and reduce the population by eliminating stagnant water around homes and check potted plants regularly for Cuban tree frog breeding sites. For more information, contact the National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA at 876-754-7540, or you may visit the NEPA head office at 10 to 11 Caledonia Avenue, Kingston 5.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, gis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at gis.gov.jm or via X at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.